Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about the difference between, because I get a lot of people, a lot of emails that want me to talk about this. And I think I did before, but I don't think I really broke it down the way I should. So I'm about to do a complete breakdown right now on what's the difference between tropical astrology and Verdic astrology, or sidereal, however you want to put it. The Eastern Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere of it. So, you know, when it comes to talking about the actual difference, there's really no difference. And I advise all astrologers, see, it's like you can't help but to blend it, but any astrologer that's elevated consciousness and they're consciously aware automatically does them like my readings are both in one. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, I'm giving you the backing energy, and I'm giving you your energy. You know what I'm saying? But you got astrologers out here that give you either or. So it's almost like you want your side, and it makes you feel like, all right, which one am I supposed to go with? Which one is right? Which one is true? Now, I'm going to tell you, tropical is what you're doing right now in this dimension. That's tropical. Now, you could almost say Verdic is your astrological makeup before it got put into the realm of reality of getting the astronomical makeup. If you get what I'm trying to understand. It's like, it's the idea before the idea became into an idea, basically. So it's your idea before you became an idea in this realm of reality. You see what I'm saying? So for an example, when you want to talk about Verdic astrology, we're talking about fixed stars. Now, when I say I'm the Archangel Uriel, or I'm the moon, you're now listening to an Antares moon. When I say that, what I actually mean is my moon sign was conjunct the fixed star Antares when I was born. I was born on 8 degrees Sagittarius. So when I was born, and it moved in to 9 degrees Sagittarius after the 2000s. Now this fixed star, along with all the other fixed stars, move 1 degree every 72 years. You know what I'm saying? So when the 2000s came, and specifically 2012, when 2012 came, that was the end of a 72-year cycle and the start of a new 72-year cycle. So all fixed stars have moved 1 degree in 2012. Whenever the calendar you was talking about ended, whatever all that was. That's basically what it was. Now, when we talk about, now you have a lot of low consciousness astrologers out here who may try to give you a sidereal chart or give you a Verdic chart. And basically what they're doing is, you have a lot of Verdic astrologers who try to add a 13th sign, but you have some low consciousness, but at least a little higher consciousness than others in that realm of reality that don't add a 13th sign. So that's a good thing. But just in that realm of reality for a whole, you have astrologers who try to give you a Verdic astrology chart, but only adding 12 constellations. Now here's a problem with that, because on the tropical, that's closer to this realm of reality. So it's a 360. So we're dealing with 12 signs. But that's a clock within a clock. The Verdic clock is the outer clock. So we really can't even say it as a zodiac 12 sign constellation, because it's still a 360, just from a broader perspective, a bigger, wider perspective. So there's many more constellations. And fixed stars are just the star systems within these constellations. Now, if a person give you a Verdic chart, here's what a low consciousness Verdic astrologer is going to try to do. They're going to X out all the other constellations and just make it like tropical, which is the 12 zodiacs, right? So they're taking a higher realm of reality frequency wave and bringing it down here already. So they're already at fault, right? Now what they're doing is, they're trying to say, now here's what's actually going on. The fixed stars is behind, that bigger clock is behind the clock that we're up under. So the clock we're under is just like the planets. The further away the planet, the more signs it's going to cover. So the further away the clock, the more energies it's going to cover. So that's what's going on here. So when we have, it's like scattered out. So when we talk about the tropical is basically the ecliptic. All the signs and the planets based upon are ecliptic. You're on Earth. So for some Verdic astrologer to give you a Verdic reading of stuff that's not on Earth, it's not going to make sense to you. You may feel certain ways, but here's what's happening. I'm just telling you what's happening. The Verdic is talking about the fixed stars, right? But then you got Verdic astrologers that X out all the other constellations and just talk about the 12. So they're taking a bigger clock and making it like the smaller clock, which is a tropical, which is the one we're supposed to use before we get to that clock, right? Now, here's what happens. Those constellations move every 72 years. So when we got a movement down in the tropical, it's like this. Say the constellations behind this constellation, which up here is many of them, but you're gonna get some weak Verdic astrologers to try to explain it in a tropical way. That's all that it only confuse you when you have Verdic astrologers try to explain it in a tropical way. That's why you get confused. That's why I make you feel like you don't know which one's which. But it's really both. And I'm explaining now. Now, the Verdic astrology chart, where you're supposed to add a whole bunch of other constellations, but for some reason you got some low consciousness who are unaware trying to make money off people to do it like this. They make it 12, right? Now, every 72 years is fixed. So those move every 72 years. Remind you, ours move like the planets. Now, when say right now, say you was born an Aries in tropical, right? You was born in Aries in tropical. Now, the sun is moving through these zodiacs, our planets on the ecliptic, right? Now, when you go to the Verdic, those move every 72 years. There is no planets well, there is, but for the sake of this conversation, that our planets is not moving through those. This is more like ages, and it goes backwards, right? That's why we went from age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Now, where Pisces at is in the sky, on the higher frequency scale, on the higher clock, which is the higher zodiac wheel. Where Pisces sit at right now in the tropical, when the ones we're supposed to read, that's where Aries at. You see what I'm saying? So, for an example, every 72 years when it move a degree, right? And then that's in Pisces. And then now here you got planets moving in the zodiac, the wheel moving, right? What happens is, on the ecliptic, we're on the ecliptic, right? As far as the Earth plane and all the planets and the relationships with each other. So they're going to stay the same. They're always going to stay the same. The sun is always going to rise in March, and the sun in March 21st, and the sun is always going to be fall in October. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to fall in October. So what happens here is like the sun be above, if Earth right here, right, and all the other planets is aligned, right, and the sun is going to be above the Earth when it comes into March, and it's always going to be below the Earth when it does this rotation and go to the opposite sign. It's always going to be, if this is Earth, the sun is always going to be below the Earth in October. So that's Aries, spring. That's Libra, right? So when you look at it from a higher scale, from the Verdic, they're trying to take the higher scale and put it in that scale that I was just explaining. They're trying to take the higher zodiac wheel, the higher clock, and place it into the ecliptic clock, which is the clock we're on. And that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're always going to be confused. So I hope Verdic astrologers know about me, because right now I'm here to elevate your science and here to elevate your tools, so you can rise above and understand how to really present, so you don't be falsely mistakenly people and making money off people without truly letting them understand what's going on. So what's happening here is, see, the ecliptic don't never change. This up here change. It changes, but just not to us, because you live on Earth. You live on Earth. That's why you don't slide off. That's why the Earth ain't flat. That's why we're moving in space with the Earth following the sun. And that look like, in all the planets that's following the sun, look like a DNA pattern, with the sun being at the top wherever it's traveling. And it look like a DNA pattern, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, or some type of spiral. You know what I'm saying? When you cut a spiral in half and take it out to look at it from a higher point of view, it look like a 6. You know what I'm saying? You just taking half of that spiral half of that spiral, you cut it off in half and place it somewhere else to look like a 6. But that's just views from my realm of reality. But we talk about anything right now. 6 ain't a number. But when we talk about Verdic, these is moving every 72 years, right? On the ecliptic, we're moving, but it's not going to appear like we are. So it's always going to stay the same because we're going through time when all our planets is jumping through all these different spaces. Remember, when you look at space, space ain't just a bunch of space. You can only see it that way because of your realm of reality or whatever dimension you chose to come back in, or whatever frequency and low density you chose to come back in. You can only see it as more space. But where I'm from is, and how you really supposed to see it, is spaces within spaces. Space is separate within itself. Like, you can't appear it that way because you may be a low consciousness being, and a lot of humans are. But space is a bunch of spaces within a space. So the lower consciousness you is just going to look like more space. But the higher consciousness you is, you're going to be able to differentiate, separate it. And it plays, if you're a human that got a high consciousness, it plays out through your human as you're able to differentiate what's the good things to take out of programs and what's the bad things to take out of programs. For an example, religion. Religion is a program. You're able to decipher better than anyone else what's the good things to take out of religion and what's the bad things and what's not good, and be able to understand and understand what not to take with you out of it. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to do that with discernment, good judgment, and confirmation. You know what I'm saying? And confirm it, and confirmed it with what they call that, with devotion and conviction. You know what I'm saying? You're able to do it without even thinking twice. That's how it plays out through a human that's consciously elevated. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just ideas. Spaces from where I'm from is really ideas. Spirits is spaces. You know what I'm saying? Angels is angles from the lights that's coming from within these spaces. A light wouldn't be able to exist if it wasn't in a space. So whatever you see in this life is light going into darkness in your reality. It's going into space. Light going into space. So what happens here is, when you want to talk about Verdic, these move every 72 years. So every 72 years is in a different area. It's in a different area. So what happens here is, for an example, if you was, so like I just explained, if you're born tropical Aries, which was March to April something, y'all know what it is. If you was born tropical Aries, then you're going to be backed by the fixed stars, which is well, you got Verdic astrologers who are going to try to say you're Aries, but you're going to be backed by Pisces. They're going to say you're really a Pisces. That's what they're really trying to say. They're going to say you're really a Pisces. But what I'm trying to say is, if they're going to do it like that, you're not supposed to explain it like that. If you're going to be making money or something like that, you're supposed to look at it like this. No, you are Aries backed by the esoteric Pisces energy. So you're going to be an Aries that's dreamy, fantasy-like, you know what I'm saying, creative. But see, that's me giving Verdic astrologer science. You're not even supposed to do that. See, if you was, I'm just giving you an example of if that's how y'all supposed to. You're not supposed to tell people that, well, if you was born between March and something, you're a Pisces. If you was born between April something, you're a Taurus or something. You're not supposed to do that. And then make people feel like, who was Aquarius says, oh, I'm a Capricorn. What kind of shit is that? That ain't how you do it. If you was to really do it, if you contacted Uriel on some solo shit, you know what I'm saying, you was to really do it, what you're supposed to do is tell a person that, no, they are Aquarius, backed by the Capricornius energy, you know what I'm saying? But that's even magician and scamming, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of cricket beings out here and a lot of light beings out here that's doing that shit, and I'm a dark being in the light, and I'm trying to tell you motherfuckers that y'all can't be coming on this earth trying to do shit that I ain't got warranted on, you know what I'm saying? That's not really what you're supposed to be doing. What it's actually supposed to be is, now, when we talk about Verdic, if you're a Verdic astrologer and you're not adding all the constellations, you're fraud. And you know how many constellations it is? You got motherfucking Andromeda, Antlia, Ampus, Aquarius, Aquila, Ara. Go to constellationofwords.com. You got a whole line of constellations, and it's more than that. It's 144, and it's more than that shit. That's true Verdic. So you can't even say like, I just broke down why they can't even say if you was born a Taurus, you're just going to be back with Aries energy. Or if you was born a Cancer, you're just going to be back with Gemini energy. You can't even say that now. So I wanted to help y'all, but nah, we're going to war. It's about to be 2017. Fuck all that shit. Now, I'm going to give you the right way. Now, this is how you supposed to blend it. Now, I'm going to just give you an example on me, right? Now, I'm 17 degrees Aries, right? So if I wanted to blend in Verdic with energies my actual Aries is getting backed by, it in Verdic, degrees matter, nakshatras matter, decans matter. You know what I'm saying? Because this lets you understand how every Aries ain't different. I mean, how every Aries ain't the same, how every Taurus ain't the same, how every Gemini ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? So this is when I use Verdic. This is when Verdic come into play. When you had to separate. So I'm gonna use me as an example. I'm a 17 degrees Aries, right? So the 17th degree of Aries only lands on the Draco constellation. So now I can't even say I'm being backed by Pisces. No, that's the fraud Verdic astrologers. I have to say I'm being backed by the Draco constellation. And the actual fixed star I'm in is in the gut, the second notice. So my sun sign, my actions is Aries being backed by the dragon Draco. So all the information and energy that you see revolving around Draco, that's the energy I put out throughout my actions in an Aryan way. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you blend it in. You know, you got to add all the constellations. My moon sign, okay, my moon is 8 degrees Sagittarius. So 8 degrees Sagittarius in the fixed star, in the Verdic, the stars that move every 72 years, that Antares, the fixed star, is in the heart of the Scorpio constellation. But when it comes down into the tropical, right, since that moved, that's where it moved at every 72 years. It's in the heart of the Scorpio right now. But in tropical, it's in 8 degrees Sagittarius because of our ecliptic. You see what I'm saying? So I can't say I'm a Sagittarius backed by Scorpion, or backed by what was that? Ophiuchus or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, in this case I have to say that I'm a Sagittarius moon backed by Scorpion energy, because it's the Scorpius constellation. Now that's rare. Now it's a lot of times, it's a lot of degrees in certain zodiacs that carry the same elemental trait. Like for an example, 2 degrees Taurus is actually Taurus. You know what I'm saying? It's actually still Taurus. You know what I'm saying? But if you move to 3 degrees in the actual fixed star sky, it might be a whole nother constellation. But when it comes into tropical, it might get played out in Taurus ways, but it's being backed by the energy that the actual constellation is in. So that's how you actually add Western and Verdic. Now again, with my moon sign, like I said, now this is just rare cases that I can say that the sign is backed by the previous sign. But when you get to 10, when you may get to 10 degrees Sagittarius, it might be something different. You might be in a constellation Serpent. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of serpent degrees. It's a lot of serpents fixed stars in the Scorpio constellation. So you might be a Scorpio, but depending on your degree, you might be backed by a whole different energy. You see what I'm saying? So this what makes everybody different. So that's how you actually supposed to blend Western and Verdic, or that's how you separate it, or that's actually the difference. You're not actually supposed to be given Verdic astrology readings. You're supposed to give someone a tropical reading and let them know their influences. That's why fixed stars only work if they're conjunct. They don't work if you're just in the constellation. You have to conjunct an actual fixed star, because the actual constellations is on the higher clock, the Verdic clock, the spiritual clock. It's your spiritual makeup before you get into the realm of being able to be made up spiritually, physically, and fluidly. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little difference between Verdic and Western. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. Goddamn.